What's up, guys? Welcome to the intro video. I'm Eric. I'm gonna be taking you through this course now. Man, I just wanna say congratulations. It's been a big decision to join forces with me, but I want you to know that I don't take that decision lightly and that my goal from here on out is to deliver the results that you signed up for, okay? And so, let's get to know me a little bit more, right? Guys, my name's Eric Lahid. Basically, I suffered with ED for 3 years, and we're gonna dive deep into my story here in a second, but I just want you guys to know that I'm a normal guy, right? I'm not a doctor. I'm not gonna give you any medical advice. I'm not gonna give you the cure. There's no such thing as a cure. There's a set of habits that you can do. There's some different actions that you can take, but there's not like a one-size-fit-all remedy. I think somewhere, there's a mindset that has to be developed in order to get where you want to be, but I don't want to get sued, and so I can't give you the cure. But if you want to get rid of your ED, if you want to you're not broken. If you just want to have stronger erections, then you're in the right place, especially if you want to do that without pills, without surgeries, without those freaking penis pumps. All right, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go through this journey together, and everything that I'm doing and sharing with you is only because it's what I did and it's what hundreds of my other clients have done to get their erections stronger without pills and surgeries. And so all right, let's just dive in a little bit deeper. All right, basically I want you guys to know also that I was super scared to put myself out here in the space. I'm on Facebook now as the erection guy. You know, my aunts and uncles and my parents and my sister and my brother and their kids, you know, all of my family has to see that I help guys with their erections. And that was a big step for me to take personally, but I just know that there's so many guys out there who I can help with my information. And so I don't care anymore. I want to help guys through this. I want to help them improve their life. And if I can do one piece of the puzzle, if I can help them fix erectile dysfunction, then I think that's what I've been chosen here, put here on this earth to do. And so, you know, I'm here basically to share with you because I don't want guys to have to go through what I did, you know, my lifestyle and what I was going. We're going to get into all that. I want you guys to know that I'm going to be super upfront with you. I'm going to be brutally honest. And, you know, to be frank, when you're talking about penises and erections and flaccid penises, it doesn't do any good to beat around the bush. And so if I got your guys' approval and permission, I'm going to be upfront with you. And so prepare for that as you move forward through these next weeks and months. Okay? So let's jump into my story. All right. What makes me qualified to teach you? Basically today, you guys, I got the honor of running a successful coaching business that helps guys completely take back control of their sexual function, and it helps them reshape their lives and eliminates their limiting beliefs and helps them shift some key barriers, okay? I have an amazing woman who loves the shit out of me, and we connect deeply and passionately in the bedroom and out. Okay, our relationship is honestly something that movies portray. You know, it's that romantic and it's that special, but it always wasn't that way, you guys. And there was a time in my life when I was completely broken. Right, I knew that I would never have sex again. I couldn't figure out why. That when I watched porn, I could get hard. You know, I could jerk off with a good erection when I watched porn. But the minute I would go to bed with a girl, a beautiful naked girl, spread eagle on the bed, my dick didn't work, right? I couldn't understand what that was. And so I couldn't figure out why I let other people in my life treat me like a doormat. You know, I was this nice guy, people pleaser. It was a stressful time in my life, and I was afraid that I was never going to become a father. Right? There was these fears running through my head. And soon it all started to reflect in my life that I was honestly sliding down a spiral, going worse and worse. I let other people walk all over me because, you know, why not? You know, I was broken. I was worthless. What's the point? And then what's the point of trying to go meet girls when I got a broken dick? I was 29 years old and my life was over. There was literally a time in my life when I saw more dark than light. I saw more limits than possibilities. All the guys I would hang out with, the cool guys, they always talked about all the girls they were banging, but I just stayed quiet because it wasn't part of me to lie and say that I was banging chicks when I wasn't. And to be honest, I couldn't bang anybody. And so I kept my mouth shut, kind of in a shameful way. I started to measure my self-worth based on this one area of my life, this one part that wasn't working out for me. I had a great job. I had a cool friend structure. My family is really awesome. I love my parents. I love my sister and brother. But this one part wasn't working out for me, and it started to control my life. I didn't measure myself based on my work ethic or my love of helping others or my ability to make people smile or how I really listened to people when they had something that they really wanted to talk about. I found myself living inside of my fear. I was afraid to speak to women because I didn't want things to go too good. And if they led to the bedroom, the anxiety that would bring up inside of me. So I began to sabotage myself anytime that I could. And that became a huge, huge pattern in my life. I was afraid to fail again. I was afraid to go through that humiliation again. But shoot, when I look back, I was afraid to change for the better too. My identity had become so comfortable with pain and sabotage that I was afraid of what my life would look like if I tried to move from this place, that struggle. And that's why today, you guys, I've dedicated my life to helping guys who might be in a similar place than I was, struggling with everything around ED. It's not just that your penis doesn't work. It's everything else in life that's affected by our penises not working. I learned how to take guys who are struggling like I was, who were broken and down on themselves, and teach them how to break through their limiting beliefs. I teach guys how to reconnect with their genitals and then how to reconnect with their life. I teach guys how to step into their masculine self-worth. And that not only translates into the bedroom, but every area that is being negatively affected now. Our entire lives as we know them are going to change by solving just one area of our life. Now, it's a pretty big area, but by solving this area, the ripple effects that are going through your life right now, because right now the ripples that are coming out of your life are coming from a place of low self-worth, low self-esteem, low self-confidence. I'm going to help guys level up into the newest areas of their life that they can't even think about when you just get started, right? Right now you're looking at everything from a certain perspective where you are. But when you start to level up to new areas, new options open up to you that you're not even conscious of right now. My life is proof, you guys, and so are the lives of all my clients when they're ready to come on this journey for themselves. Okay, I can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So why am I stepping up right now? Basically because the Journal of Sexual Medicine, it says that we're not alone. 26% of guys under 40 have ED. 26%. And that's not the only thing. When I wanted to get help, I went to the doctor, of course. I told him, Doc, my penis doesn't work. I can't get erections when I'm with a girl. The only thing they wanted to do was give me a pill. They said, well, that's uncommon, but here's some, Viagra or Cialis or whatever it was. But, not only was I not willing to settle for that in my life, but the girls that I actually went to bed with when I couldn't perform, it sent them on their own personal self-body image issues. Maybe there was something wrong with them that caused me to not be able to get hard. And every girl that goes to bed with a guy who gets naked initially has some thought about, how's this guy like me? Am I pretty enough? How's my body? But every guy that goes to bed with a girl who can't perform because of his own demons those demons get thrust onto that girl, and now she's not good enough in her own mind. So the first thing to fixing this, you guys, is that you got to believe. You got to believe it's possible. Because when you know something's possible, it creates a new level in your body, a new level in your mind. Have you guys ever heard of Roger Bannister, right? Science, the medical doctors said that running the 4-minute mile was impossible, right? It said that our bodies couldn't physically handle that kind of exertion. And if somebody was ever able to run the 4-minute mile, that our heart would explode and we would die, right? That was what was common practice. In college, I mean, call it common knowledge, but that's what science said. But after years and years of failing, guess what? Roger Bannister was the first guy to break a 4-minute mile. But the funny thing about that is that after he did it, 46 days later, someone else did it. And then someone else did it. And then like 20 times over the next year. And then another time in 1955, during one track and field race, 3 runners broke it in the same race. Okay, that's how crazy that is. That's what's the science, the biology of belief. When you believe something is possible, it shifts everything. And so it's okay that right now we're at a place where we might not have the erections that we want. Believing that you can get them back is where we're going to start. So you guys, you might even have a fear right now about getting started because you think that you're too far gone. You know, beginning any new challenge in life, any major change, it can be scary. You know, I get that. And so this might seem crazy that you're actually getting help with your ED. But doesn't that just show how strong you really are? I mean, only the strongest people can ask for help. And the fact that you're here right now, it says a lot about you. But that doesn't mean that you don't have fears, right? So moving forward, you know, how do we handle fear? People generally fear 3 things, okay? The fear of loss, the fear of hardship or the process of fear, or of moving forward, or they fear the outcome. What's life going to look like afterwards? And so with the fear of loss, you know, people, they fear of losing something that we care about. You know, it's not necessarily a physical fear. It's more like a mentality. You know, I was worried about losing the everyday understanding of my world. And so let's just call that what it is. You know, I was afraid of losing my comfort zone. You know, my current way of life. I was afraid of that. But it's crazy because people, you know, and myself included, we'll fight for our comfort zones and then not take any actions on what would really enhance our lives. When we get rid of our ED, our lives change. And we don't exactly know what it's going to look like. And that uncertainty is scary. And so how do we handle this fear of loss? We handle the fear of loss by shifting our focus to what we gain. You know, instead of watching the wake of the boat to see where our future lies, we're going to shift our focus to the future and say, what do we want to create in our lives? This completely changes your perspective, obviously. And so the first assignment that I'm going to ask you guys to do is I want you to stack up 2 lists. The first list is the pros of getting your ED taken care of. And of course, on the second list, I want you to write out the cons of getting rid of ED. Okay? You don't have to do this right this second, but this is an assignment that I want you to do because, you know, it's no secret that when you reverse your ED, your life will look different. But by seeing both sides of the coin, you're going to be able to see the real value and the real weight that each side holds. Okay? This is a powerful exercise. Because right now, you're placing a lot of value on the things that are the cons. You know, when we raise up to the major leagues of happiness, you're going to start to see things from a new vantage point, like I said. And I'm not saying that all those things are bad, right? But this is a phase of life that we're in. And when we rise to the next level, you know, the blinders, they get taken off. And you start to see things differently. It's just what happens. And so let's focus on the pros right now, okay? Like having a functional penis again, that's great. You know, so we start to work with the chemicals that are in our bodies that fuel us to live better lives again. We find more motivation to crush work, to crush our dating lives, or maybe to begin dating in the first place, okay? Some of the pros that actually happened to me, and I'm actually going to, I'm going to share my screen with you guys here so you guys can just see these. Nice. So some of the pros that happened to me were that I learned how to enjoy my life again, right? I was in a dark place. Everyone around me thought I was okay, but you know how that is on the inside. It's not fun. Showing up as my full authentic self. So many times I got into conversations with guys where I defaulted into the beta. You know, I didn't want to cause ripples. I didn't want to argue. I didn't want to make conflict. And that's not necessarily who I am anyways, but I wasn't showing up as my full authentic self. And it was a horrible place to live my life from. Stepping into my masculinity again, or maybe even for the first time, I don't really know if I was ever truly masculine, but when I learned how to take control of my erectile function, you know, what to avoid to make them worse and what to do to make them better and start to improve on that, my masculinity up-leveled. And that's an amazing feeling too. Learning how to last long enough to give women amazing experiences in the bedroom. This was huge. I'm not saying that I'm a stallion who can go all night right now, and we're gonna get into some reasons why that's not even a really good thing, but I was not able to last long enough at all to make a woman happy, and that played havoc on my own emotions too. The anxiety of going into another encounter where I know that I'm not gonna be able to make her satisfied. So learning this has been a huge, huge blessing in my life. Learning how to destroy my anxiety in the bedroom, all right? That's kind of what prepared with the last one. But for a long time, I would go into the bedroom knowing that I couldn't perform. And then even after I started to improve, the anxiety was still there. That thought process, that pattern was still connected. And it wasn't a healthy place to do anything. To go into a bedroom scared, it's so much different than when you walk in there and you know what's about to go down. Setting up new habits in my life that help me create my ideal version of myself. You guys, this is never ending, but actually sitting down and writing these out and understanding that when I do these habits, I'm happier, I'm healthier, I have more drive, more commitment to my own life. And that in itself is sexy to women, and other men see that and they actually give you respect more. But when you're just floating in the wind like dust and you'll blow this way because the wind blows that way, you'll blow this way because the wind blows that way, that's no way to live life. And so when I started to create my ideal version of myself, it's like living your life on purpose. You've heard that phrase before, but it's true. When you can actually harness that energy and start to live your life on purpose, nothing can stop you. Building up my self-confidence and confidence in my ability to push through pain. You guys, I'll tell you, recording these modules isn't necessarily my strong point, but I'm pushing through the pain. Putting myself out on Facebook so that people could see me as the erection coach, that's not easy. That brings me a little bit of discomfort right now because I'm stepping into this space. It's new. I don't know what to expect on the other side. But I have confidence in my ability to push through this pain so that I can help guys like you and hopefully a lot more. And if you don't think that's a skill set that you have to develop, then I got another thing coming for you. Because it's like when you start, you hit barriers. And then you overcome those barriers, and then you keep going, and then you hit more barriers. And then you keep going, and then you hit more barriers, and you overcome them. But if you never start, if you never get going, then that very first barrier would stop you, right? Or you won't even get started, so you don't even see the barrier and you stay stuck where you're at. Taking action and having confidence in yourself, even if you fail, you're learning, right? There is no failure, there's only feedback. That's one of our tenets of success. And we're gonna dive into that even deeper here soon. Confidence that I will never settle for anything less than I'm worth ever again. You guys, that's been a story of my past where I didn't have the self-worth to say what I wanted, and as a result, I got everything but what I wanted. It was the universe teaching me some valuable lessons, okay? But now I have confidence that I'm not gonna settle ever again. So let me go back over here real quick. Number 2 fear, process pain. Okay, this is scared of the process that it's gonna take to get back our erections. We're scared we're not gonna be able to figure something out, and we think it's gonna be too difficult so that we don't even get started. Now again, I'm not gonna ask you to run a 4-minute mile, right? This is actually nothing strenuous at all, unless you choose to do some of the physical activities, things that the optional work, but that's not necessary to get your erections back. Or maybe you just think that this is gonna take too much time and that you're already so busy and it's gonna be too hard to fit this into your routine, right? So how do we handle the process fear? My friend, we handle the process fear by stepping up to your life. It took courage to sign up, I know that, but it takes even more courage to show up consistently. Look around your life. Do you find that you struggle taking action in other areas of your life too? Struggle making commitments, finding things that are more important than what you really think is important? How important is it for you to get this area of your life under control? Is it more important than an extra hour of Netflix or of video games? Okay, for some of you, I know this is going to be completely different than what you've been doing. But in order to get to where you really want to be, we got to start doing different actions. These things are called learning pains. You learn as you grow. You don't grow from comfort, okay? You learn from the struggle. You grow from the struggle. Think about lifting weights. And for those of you guys who don't really hit the gym, that's okay. But you know the metaphor. When you load up a bar full of weights and you start to do it, that's where the muscle's built, okay? You don't build muscle by sitting on the bench, just looking at it, thinking, that's a lot of weight, okay? You get stronger by doing the work. And that's what I'm gonna help you with. This isn't gonna be hard. This isn't gonna be difficult, but it's gonna take a commitment from you, okay? 10, 15, 30 minutes per day. That's what I'm gonna ask of you. Joe Rogan actually has a sweet podcast. It's about becoming the hero of your own movie. And basically, your life is your movie. Okay, if you're not the hero of it, I'm not gonna be the hero of your movie. You know, your brother's not gonna be the hero of your movie. Your friend's not gonna be the hero of your movie. You gotta be the hero. You gotta step up at this moment and grab this and take it and run with it and do the work and be consistent and see what can happen. See what can happen in your life. You know, because every great movie has a struggle. You know, think about the classics like Lord of the Rings and Spider-Man. You know, they all have this moment where the hero has this struggle. You're right, he's down in the dumps, but then he meets the mentor, Gandalf, or he gets the special powers, like he gets bit by the spider, and all the things start to go up. Then they start having these new skills, new learnings, new experiences, and at the end of the movie, you know, they either they get the girl, or they get the treasure, or they get the reward at the end because of what they had gone through, okay? This moment in your life is just a struggle. It's a time of your life that you're gonna look back on and say, that sucked, but look where I've come now. Look how strong I am now. Look what I've learned, and look what I can move forward to into the future. And it's gonna be one of the most valuable lessons that I can share with you, because I know it has been for me. Being able to understand the mechanics and the mindset around erectile dysfunction has given me some of the most powerful insights of my life around my relationship, around connecting with other people, even around relationships with my men friends, everything has been improved because of how I see myself now and what this has done for me and the muscle that I've built by going through this process. And I want to share this with you guys so much. So another example of this is I have a friend who completely transformed her garden, or her backyard, into a garden. Now, the only problem was her soil was like full of rocks and like clay, and the dirt was like rock solid. So she had to disrupt the dirt with the rototiller, just crunching rocks, crunching gravel, taking wheelbarrow fulls of like gravel out of the backyard. And ultimately she had to plant more seeds. She had to add the fertilizer, it stunk. And it didn't feel good to have to do all that work, right? It took time, it took effort, it took energy. But at the end of the day, at the end of a couple week process, she could stand back and look at her garden, and the feelings that came from doing that work made it all worthwhile. And she has a beautiful garden now in her backyard. And so this work that we're gonna do, it has nothing to do with physical activity to a point. It's not exertion, not physical exertion, but it is a part of our physical body. And I'm gonna teach you some exercises that you can do to work on your erection quality. But it takes the time and the consistency to build this up to where we want it to be, okay? So we're gonna find that we might have some rock hard dirt in the form of our limiting beliefs or in our old patterns, our behaviors and our thoughts. In order for some new ideas to come into our lives, we're gonna have to disrupt some things. We're gonna have to till the hard soil of our current programs, and we're gonna have to plant some new seeds. And the hardest part, you guys, is gonna be confronting our limiting beliefs, because that's the smelly fertilizer. When you can change your beliefs to empowering beliefs, you're gonna grow faster than you've ever believed possible. So when we can honor that struggle, you guys, we know there's gonna be struggle. So when you can honor it, we're gonna reap so much rewards out of this. Who you become as a result of this, is totally up to you. But the guys who struggle going to the gym consistently, they have awesome bodies. People who struggle, musicians who struggle playing musical instruments consistently, they can play beautiful music. And now that you're here with me, we're gonna build this consistency from the ground floor so that you can reap the rewards on the other side. So we're gonna start small, and then we're gonna build as you're ready, okay? We're not gonna let this fear keep us down, and we develop these muscles, and we get the results we want by taking consistent actions. Because what I found in my life is that action is the antidote for despair. If you have an idea right now that you can't do this, that you're broken, taking action will solve that, okay? And I'm gonna give you some quick fixes initially that's gonna help you hit the ground running. And so just know that this is something that you're jumping into now, but your commitment to this is gonna be key. So you guys, as you understand, there's gonna be hardship, okay? Losing your current way of life, it's gonna be tough for a lot of you, all right? It was for me. Shifting my TV habits so that I could recover my erections, at that point in my life was really hard. I loved watching Game of Thrones. I loved playing video games. It was like I was giving up a part of my life, and I didn't like that feeling. But when you do the pros and the cons, when you have those lists, what has more weight to it? Watching another episode of Game of Thrones, which is cool, I like Game of Thrones, or spending a little bit extra time working on getting my erection quality back. When you really look at it like that, guys, and you're subjective, you'll start to see what's really important to you. But I know it's hard, but you can do this. And I know that you're here already. I'm kind of preaching to the choir. And so I know that your priorities are in the right spot. I just want you to know that this change, it's not to be hated. Like the things that we hate, they only grow in negativity. And so if you're hating the process of change, that this process of change will be that much harder, okay? A lot of times it's when we go through these massive changes, like these huge things, where we actually find our next level, right? It's if we can make the hardship not only okay, but celebrate it and honor it for showing us the path, then our growth will become inevitable and our results are just going to be a product of our hard work. Okay? Fear number 3, you guys. Here it is again. I'm going to be brutally honest with you throughout this course. Some people actually think I'm crazy for just putting this in here, but I'm always going to be straight with you. So there's actually a pain associated with, what if I do it all, right? What if I do everything that's asked of me and it still doesn't work? What does that say about me as a person? And you start to wonder, am I good enough, right? Or am I really, really messed up, right? There must be something wrong with me if I can't do this in this amount of time. Now, I know that you'd feel disappointment, but you don't want to feel that pain. If you don't want to feel that pain, so you never get started and you never take the steps needed for growth, then you're sabotaging yourself. Okay? Real life has failures. Real life has disappointments. But if you can learn from these and honor these over the long term, you'll try and you'll fail and you'll try again. And when you have these new learnings, this is the process. This is how I've learned to practically eliminate failure. Not eliminate. This is how I've learned to guarantee success, by never quitting. Okay? Let's say that at the end of our time together with this course, you don't have 100% control of your erection quality. Great. Now you at least are on the path that you need to know to get there. Okay? You'll be able to see within the time that this is working for you. And I want you to feel confident that as long as you keep on the path, as long as you eliminate the bad behaviors and you continue with the right behaviors, that this will be possible for you. Okay? So you're going to go through periods where seemingly nothing is happening. Growing through these challenges is a skill set, but it pays dividends long term. All right? I feel sorry for the guys who are just sitting there passively letting things get worse, Because if we never begin and we never hit these early trials and mistakes and we don't get those out of the way, it seems impossible to grow, and then we just stay stagnant. Our disappointments, they either stop us and they make us these sad, bitter people, or they allow us to continue building our competency, right? So we don't look at all these experiences as failures, but as new learnings that we've never had before. You can make changes, small shifts for you that work for you, and then keep going and know that you'll do better next time. Okay? At least we're learning. At least we're growing. You can do this. If I can do this, you can do this. Anytime that you think you've hit a wall or it's not working, that means you're very close to a breakthrough. Okay? When you hit your ceiling, that means when you go up and you hit your ceiling and you go back down, and then you come up and you hit your ceiling again, the other side of that ceiling, right here, that's new territory that you're so close to right now. The key is to keep going, keep pushing through that. Eventually you'll break that ceiling and you'll go further. And then when you hit that next ceiling and you come back down, you won't go as far down as you were before. It's an upward trajectory. Okay? That's the process of growth. And so I'm just trying to prepare you for this mentally so that you can see that it's not going to be a straight line, perfect, growth. There will be periods when things seem to not work. But I know that you can do this as long as you stick with us throughout this course. And really, you guys, what is your alternative? Not taking action, not fixing your erections, waiting for something else to magically come along that's not even real. This is the guidebook. This is going to help you to get where you want to be. Okay, you're here now because you're not willing to settle any longer. And we will, bro. We're going to crush this so much. I mean, I'm so excited for you on your journey because I know what it's done for me and my clients. And so this is just the beginning for you. And so I just want to acknowledge you again for that. So you guys, the goals of this course, let me bring this back on screen share again. So the goals of this course, you guys, is basically to see us on the path back to strong, healthy erections. Okay, that's why you signed up, right? I'm not dumb. It's not because you wanted to have a complete life change. That'll be nice, but the idea that you purchased this course for was that you want your erections back, plain and simple. The habits, to build the habits necessary to achieve our goals. Now, if getting healthy erections back is one of our goals, we have to build the habits that are going to lead us to get that goal, and having those become part of our everyday life, okay? Consistency over time. To eliminate the habits that led us to our previous state. You guys, we didn't just wake up one day and our erections were gone. This was a path that happened long term, right? Over the course of months to years for some of us. Everything from poor masturbation habits to the things that we let into our eyes, whether, we're going to get into that. But we have these habits that we need to eliminate. And by eliminating those habits, we're going to get so much value back into our lives. To become the kinds of guys who aren't anxious around sex and intimacy. I know you guys know what I'm talking about when you walk into a girl's room or your room with a girl, but you're freaking worried that you're not going to perform. That's one of the worst feelings ever. That's supposed to be the moment of the deepest connection, that human intimacy. And you can't even get to that level of connection because you're so worried about how you're going to perform in bed, right? And what stereotypes in our heads about what's normal in the bedroom. Am I big enough? Am I going to last long enough? Will I be hard enough? All these things that are in our heads, we're going to learn how to squash that so you can actually connect with your partner, and that you can actually have a much better experience and drop the anxiety, okay? We want to become comfortable in our masculinity, all right? This is something that I told you about earlier, being able to have conversations with other guys and be stepping into my worth and know that I'm just as valuable as they are. They're not better than me for any reason. And being able to fully step into that, and also being able to tell a woman, what I want in bed, right? Being able to say to her, honey, give me a blowjob tonight, or whatever it is, whatever that looks like in the heat of the moment in the bedroom, but not being shy and afraid of my masculine desires, right? That's two areas, the masculine relationships and then the masculinity in the bedroom, that I want to share this with you guys and help you guys build and develop over time, because this is going to increase your quality of life. I can guarantee that. To master the mindsets needed to maintain our growth long term. You guys, this is a lifestyle. I'm telling you, when you get back your erections, you're not going to want them to go back away. And if you slip back into your old patterns and old habits, I bet you can imagine what's going to happen. And so by shifting into this new area of your life where you're growing for the rest of your life, this is a process of growth, right? Living your life on purpose, being able to choose your goals and go after them. This is a long-term thing. This isn't a couple weeks or a couple months. You're going to need to maintain and master these mindsets that are, honestly, it's so much fun. It's so much fun to live your life like this. And we're only just getting started. And so I'm excited to share these things with you as well. To completely rebuild our self-talk so that we crush life again, okay? Or maybe for some of us for the first time, right? My self-talk was limiting self-talk. Anytime I was faced with a decision, I chose the path of least resistance. I didn't want to work hard for things. I expected freebies and handouts and all these things that weren't serving me. I didn't want to work hard. And then as soon as I rebuilt my self-talk to, look for the challenge, grow more, I'm worthy, I'm worth it, I can do anything I put my mind to, my life started to get better. It's funny how your mind controls how you react in the world and how you act in the world. Learn how to effectively remove fantasy from our lives. Now, you guys, not all of you here are here because of porn addiction or pornography-induced erectile dysfunction. That's not all of you guys, but I'm sure there's a large majority of you guys who do suffer from some porn addiction. One of the best things that I'm going to share with you is how to eliminate that from your life, how to cut it out like a cancer and get rid of it, because that is ultimately one of the worst things you could do for your erections. Trying to learn to have sex while jerking off to porn is not going to help you at all, and in fact, it's damaging you more than you believe. So this is something we have to cut out. And to eliminate the need for external fixes, you guys, like pills, pumps, and surgeries. I don't know if you guys know this right now, but they actually have a surgery where they put a tube, they cut your penis open, they insert a tube, and then they sew it back up. And then the tube itself has a little balloon on the end of it. And that the tube goes back behind your scrotum, little bug, and you pump up the tube beneath your scrotum. You go, and you can get an erection that way. And you know, this is something that I don't recommend, obviously, pills, pumps, or surgeries, but it's just not a good idea long term. And we're gonna get into that about why as well, but I just wanna give you guys a quick example. When you put a tube with a balloon inside your penis and you expand it to a certain level, eventually when that comes back down, your own blood flow won't be strong enough to get it back up to that maximum expansion that the balloon did. And pretty soon you're going to be completely useless down there, even worse than you might be now, because you relied on something for so long. And it's like somebody that's been lying in the hospital bed for years, you know, their muscles start to atrophy, they start to lose you know, all kinds of different movements. By putting yourself in a crutch for, I don't know, years, you're going to be doing so much damage to yourself. And I just want you to know that's not a good idea to go through that surgery. And I know of a couple people right now who are thinking about it, and they're like in their 30s and their 40s, right? I can understand if you're like 80, but not when you're 30 or 40, you guys. It's just not worth it at all. So, all right, soapbox over on that. Let's go over here. All right, you guys, so the keys to success. All right, stick with me here. My training that I've developed for you guys is going to emphasize this concept of sustained motivation over time. I really only need to keep you guys motivated until you understand how valuable this is and that you can see some results happening for you. But, you know, we're a team, and I'm here on this journey with you. And so I'm going to do my part, and I'm going to give you doable tasks that are going to keep you engaged. And so they might be new to you, right? I guarantee you that some of these are going to be new to you, but they might seem like they're not working in the beginning, right? I told you that. But that's okay, because you're going to do your part and you're going to stay consistent over time. Like that exercise where you double a penny every single day for 30 days. If you haven't tried that on your phone calculator, try it. Try 1 cent times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 over 30 days and see what that comes out to. Now, we're going to be taking that concept and applying that to our erection building, okay? Just try it. You're going to see there's a huge number at the end. And so, but in the beginning, from 1 cent to 2 cents to 4 cents to 8 cents, like, who wants 8 cents, right? You just spent 4 days working towards something for 8 cents. But over time, you guys, I can't get that stressed enough. Over time, this is going to pay dividends. And so if you ever need more motivation, you guys, I want you to look back at the prose that you wrote about getting back your erections and know that these things are coming to you if you can just stay on the path long enough, okay? So right now, you might not even have thought about like your real whys, you know, beyond just getting back your function. But I want you to even think about, you know, maybe those are your pros as well, but like, what about being a dad if you're not a dad yet? What about showing up differently in your life? More confident, more masculine, more authentic and likable, because you're not living behind this shroud of ED and you can just be yourself, right? I want you to start thinking about these, because This is fuel for our fire that we're gonna start. We're gonna burn it like a freaking bonfire. The most important factor though, the ultimate key to your success is that you must believe in yourself. This is the only way to keep your motivation going or to revive your motivation if you've temporarily lost it. Believe in yourself and believe that this is possible, okay? If you expect great things to happen, remember what I said earlier, this is called the law of expectancy. And where you believe a positive outcome will happen, it's actually more likely to happen. But the reverse is true. And so we're just gonna expect that great things are gonna happen, and we'll take actions to get that fire started and then the momentum working back into our favor. You guys, I'm gonna be here, right here to help you every step of the way. If you have any questions ever along this, I want you to email me, write in the comment box, send support an email, whatever it takes. I'm here for you to answer all of your questions. And you guys, that's it right now. I just want to say thank you for trusting me and for giving me, your trust. That's all I can say. You know, I know that we're going to get through this. I have the belief that we're going to get through this, and I know that you can too. So give yourself props for taking action and just get ready for this new life. All right? You guys, I'll see you on day one. Much love.